What TV series was so good you rewatched it more than once? Shows that are so good they deserve and maybe even need a rewatch: The Wire, The Sopranos, Arrested Development, It's Always Sunny, Community, AP Bio. I rewatch a ton of shows, but those ones I would say specifically are better the second time through, either because there are so many characters it's hard to keep track of who is who, or because there is stuff throughout the show you wouldn't pick up on the first time around, or because when you watch them the second time you have a different appreciation for what they are trying to do. Hannibal. It might be the most visually and artistically stunning show I've ever watched. The writing is unbelievable. I would just sit in awe at some of the psychological and existential conversations they would have on the show. An overwhelming majority of the actors are phenomenal, and it makes the subject material even more enthralling. The lead actor has a very strong Danish accent, so I turned subtitles on to make sure I didn't miss anything. It was nothing short of exquisite. This was my gateway medium into sci-fi. Farscape features not only one of the best starring protagonists I've ever seen in a fish-out-of-water scenario, John Crichton, but also one of the best starring on-screen romances, John Crichton ex-officer Aaron Sun. Folks may recommend Star Trek, or Babylon 5, or Battlestar Galactica, or Stargate SG-1. I will always recommend Farscape. I didn't often watch series more than once, because I don't get to watch anything very often and there's too much new stuff I want to see. That said, I've rewatched Mad Men, Glow Netflix series, Arrested Development, Toast of London, Curb Your Enthusiasm. There are a few others, probably, but those are the ones I know I've rewatched. Mad Men. I watched the entire series a few years after it ended. 3 years ago I had a baby watch it through twice with ads. The fact that they were limited in what they could say and show because it was on AMC and it was still entertaining is not easy to do. Could you imagine what that show would have been like if HBO picked it up? The Venture Brothers, The Expanse, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Patriot, Community, The Good Place, Deadwood, Clerks the Animated Series, Preacher, Derry Girls, Letterkenny, Pushing Daisies, Halt, and Catch Fire, The Leftovers. Those last two are especially underrated. Probably will add The Bear and Severance to the list soon. Lol. Not everyone's cup of tea, but Boomtown. It was on NBC for a season and a half. The writers' strike hurt it. Season 1 was great, loved how they showed each character's perspective. When they came back for Season 2 after the strike, they retooled it because they said people had a hard time following the story and just ruined it. Sopranos, The Wire, Rome, Game of Thrones, Deadwood, Star Trek: The Next Generation, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Boardwalk Empire, Seinfeld, 30 Rock, Justice League Unlimited, Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Futurama, Breaking Bad, Scrubs, Parks and Rec. I'm probably forgetting some. Not that it was good, but I went many months without cable internet and electricity, so I would sit at McDonald's and charge my laptop and download as much shows and movies I could weekly and watch them until the laptop died at home. Some of my favorites: Big Bang Theory, Scrubs, The Wire, Secret Life of Walter Mitty, Breaking Bad, first few seasons of Walking Dead, The Office, The Good Place, early seasons of Grey's, first 3 seasons of Rick and Morty, and Trailer Park Boys. In no particular order. These are all shows that I put up on my second monitor when I'm gaming or doing whatever on my PC, and I never get tired of them. For my wife and daughter, Gilmore Girls. I would rather stab my eyes ears out. I can't stand the false banter. Better newer options they watch on repeat that I will sit through and are actually pretty good are Never Have I Ever, Atypical, and Pen 15. Atypical surprised me. It is really good. Any Star Trek except for Discovery teased so but not great. I've also watched Narcos and Narcos Mexico more than once. Some of the best TV I've ever seen. And finally, whenever I can't think of something to watch, I just put on a couple of episodes of Psych. Arrested Development, the original 3-season run. I recently watched it for probably no joke the 50th time through start to finish. Certain episodes I've definitely seen 80-100 times, and I'm still noticing little things that make the jokes pop even more. Parks Rec. It actually became a huge self-care item when I was dealing with depression from my mom and sister's deaths. Amy Poehler, Adam Scott became my family. I don't watch it often now, but every once in a while I'll turn it back on and it's like a warm hug. Twin Peaks. I've watched the first 2 seasons more times than I can count, the 3rd season only twice. Also On Fire, Walk With Me, The Missing Pieces, all the books, and tapes. Basically it's my entire personality now. I'd want a damn good cup of coffee. Frasier. It was a feel-good show that was on in our house all the time when I was a kid, so it became a comfort show, and now that I'm in my 30s, rewatching it as an adult is so relatable and it's hilarious. I watch through it multiple times a year. Deep Space Nine very applicable today. Enterprise. CBS Paramount really screwed this up, as they could have done seasons 5-6 on the Earth-Romulan War and then season 7 as the actual birth of the Federation. As a fan, I still feel robbed. My ex does a yearly rewatch of both Avatar: The Last Airbender, and Over the Garden Wall. Both great choices. Emo. I don't have the stamina for a yearly Atla rewatch, but I've somewhat adopted the tradition of watching OTGW each fall season. Fargo. Sopranos. The Wire. True Detective. The Deuce. Band of Brothers. From the Earth to the Moon. The Americans. Breaking Bad. Better Call Saul. Rome. Deadwood. 6 Feet Under. Oz. Battlestar Galactica reboot. Succession. Breaking Bad. Dexter. Stranger Things. Loki. TNG, Voyager, DS9. That 70s Show. The Office. Rick and Morty. Atla. Locke. Game of Thrones until I watched season 8, now it doesn't feel worth it. Trollhunters. 3 Below. Wizards. Star Trek: The Next Generation. I watched it at least twice in the 90s and again I'm watching it. Now on season 5. Some of the episodes are dated but the rest are great. Too bad I only got to go the experience in Vegas once. The old Star Trek 1966-69 series has kinda grown on me. But I have only 5 absolute favorites. 1. The Immunity Syndrome. 2. The Doomsday Machine. 3. Balance of Terror. 4. The City on the Edge of Forever. 5. Elan of Troyes. I'll give you a 2-for-1 deal op, The Expanse and the early 2000s Battlestar Galactica. Have watched the former all the way through the 4 times and can't count on BSG, probably about 8 times including the original air dates. HBO's Rome. I rewatch it almost every year. Brilliantly acted, interesting characters and very funny too. I highly recommend it, especially if you have some interest in Roman history or you enjoy historical pieces. Parks and Recreation, Superstore, The New Girl, The Office, Happy Endings, and The Good Place. Edited via my kids. I love Gravity Falls, Summer Camp Island, Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Amphibia, The Owl House, News Radio, Oz, The Sopranos. That's about it. Couldn't stand Oz's last 2 seasons the last time around and was frequently bored stiff of the show to begin with. My ex hadn't seen, so we went through it all. Supernatural for me. See No Evil Monkey. It may not be objectively good, but I love it. I am currently rewatching it, and I think the first 5 seasons are actually awesome. Anything after that is kind of guilty pleasure. Breaking Bad, 7 times. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, unknown amount of times because I skip around to random episodes. It's weird because I rarely rewatch any other TV series, period. Battlestar Galactica I rewatch about every 5 years or so. Also I've rewatched Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Legend of Korra, and She-Ra and the Princesses of Power multiple times. My Name in Tokyo Vampire Hotel. I can watch those series million times. It helps they're not too long, just 1 season each, so it's feeling like a really long movie more than a show. Personal rewatches start to finish in order. The Wire 5x. Arrested Development 3x. Ones that will make the 3x club eventually. Mad Men 2x. The Good Place 2x. Schitt's Creek 2x. Psych. When a show is so good that we get not just 6 seasons in a movie, but we get 8 seasons and 3 more movies on the owe it to yourself to watch. A lot of great answers, but the best answer? Frasier. Cheers as well, but Frasier is the greatest sitcom and one of the greatest shows of all time, and I will die on that hill. The Last Kingdom, Money Heist, Band of Brothers, Breaking Bad, The 100, Witcher Blood Origins, and Jane the Virgin are my top faves that I have rewatched several times each. I gave 30 Rock and Community a couple of rewatches. They're easy to enjoy and so dense with jokes you're bound to catch a couple new ones the second and third time around. I'm retired and so need of time to watch my show Brooklyn Nine-Nine all day and night. I'm at what I would guess is about 50 to 60 rewatches. It's the only show I watch. Any TV series I watch, I end up rewatching more than once. Criminal Minds haven't watched the last season because I don't want it to end. House, Doctor Who, Atypical. All the pre-new Star Trek series, Dose, TNG, DS9, Voyager, Enterprise. I watch every one of these series every year. I've seen them all at least 10 times each, kind of a bit different, but bar rescue. I usually forget the episodes within a year, so every year I go on a binge watching them, even the shorts on YouTube. Band of Brothers, ER, The West Wing, The Newsroom, Pushing Daisies, NYPD Blue. This is off the top of my head. I am sure I am missing tons of other shows. Toast of London. Can't remember how many times I have rewatched the complete series, but it has been several, maybe at least 10 or more. Never Gets Old. Queen's Gambit, I've watched it about 3-4 times. Also, I really like Grey's Anatomy. Some seasons and writing aren't very good, but it's my comfort show. Dexter, Nip Tuck, The Tudors and Smallville for me. Dud episodes in all of those shows for sure. However, they all give you some of the best TV emo. Penny Dreadful, mostly because I can't get enough of Eva Green's incredible acting and unsurpassed beauty. That and the entire series was amazing. Avatar: The Last Airbender, Firefly, South Park, House, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, The Good Wife, The Good Place, Cheers, Community, Breaking Bad. I've watched Lost probably 30 times. And before anybody starts whining, I like the ending just fine. I've also watched Vikings many times. Snowfall on Hulu is an incredible watch and it's a completed series. I'll also give an honorable mention to The Rookie and Outlander. Psych's already been said, so my answer is The Expanse. There is so much foreshadowing that is completely missed the first time around.